I've been watching a lot of Penguin Zero recently, and one thing I learned from him is that apparently masturbation and staring at titties and boobies and everything in between is extremely normal. So I've already made a video about masturbation and how I'm really useless at it, even though I've tried a fuck ton of times. Regarding staring at boobies in public, this is an issue that I have. The first thing my head or eyes or I don't know what makes me see it, is it puberty? It probably is to stare at titties if they're in front of me. If I see any woman, I will stare at the titties unless I force myself to look up. The only people that I don't stare at the chest is my sister and my cousin. Not even my mother, which is so embarrassing to say, and it makes me really ashamed. I don't know how normal this is. It makes me feel like a terrible incest guy, even though I hope that's not the case. I have to half the time I need to force myself to just look up at her. And I don't know, I don't think a single person is aware of this other than my sister. My sister's pretty much who say everything about. We share every little experience about. She'll describe her period to me. I'll describe, oh, my shit looked like this today. And it's not in a weird sense, it's in an endearing sense. It's more for fun. It's transparency, and it's also funny describing the stupidest shit possible. But anyways, back to titties. I have a really good example. Warning, there's gonna if you don't like My Little Pony, I'm a brony, I'm gonna bring it up. But I think it's the best example of the booby addiction. I have found 3 scenes with cleavage. So far only 3, and I'm in the process of finding more if possible. I found 3 scenes in all of My Little Pony Equestria Girls with titty cleavage. No others. And that just shows how hard I look. Now, one of them is fairly obvious, but the other 2, I don't know. And I've even talked about it on Twitter before. Now, don't follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is useless. Seriously. But it really shows the titty addiction. Another time where I don't really stare at the titties is when there aren't really any titties. You see that poster behind me? There's no titties over there. I don't stare at those. There's nothing to stare at. And that one, there's no titties either. I'm not staring at those boobies. No honker mommy milkers. And if you're wondering if this applies to something like pornography, I mean, pornography, you kind of gotta stare at everything, so does that really count? Because of course I'm gonna stare at the titties. They're trying to make you stare at those giant honker mommy milkers. Like, that's the point. Is to get you horny. Does it get me horny? I don't really know. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel weird. Horny's probably a weird feeling. Have I ever really felt horny? I don't think so. I don't think I've had a genuine horny feeling once. If I have, it's a joke, and I'm lying, and you cannot really retrace it back. I'm trying to think of other times I stare at titties. Well, I guess man titties count. Well, I guess if I see a fat man in public, I'm staring at the beer belly and then his man boobies, and then I'll probably massage those man boobies. Not really. It depends on the person. If it's my father, I'll give him a nice little slap on the ass and then grope the man boobies. We grope each other's man boobies regularly. And by regularly, I mean like once every lifetime. I've done it once to him. He's done it once to me. I hated it, and I never want to do it again. I felt assaulted. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So you guys can probably picture my worst nightmare being like a swimming pool where everyone's in a bikini. It sort of is. And it's kind of why I was very willing to learn how to swim underwater without goggles. I was so happy to be underwater in a swimming pool. There was no titties anywhere. Now, there were vaginas everywhere. There was pubic hair everywhere. I could go just swim forward and then eventually bump into someone's pubes. But I don't really care about that because, I mean, everyone's wearing swimsuits. Well, it could be the tightest undies everywhere. And then, there could be pubes poking out because, again, tightest underwear. But I don't care about touching pubes. It's not boobies. It's not as prominent or weird. I'm fine with it. This is the weirdest conversation. But I need to know. Back to the main point. Am I the only person who does this? I feel like it's a regular kind of thing. Like, where if you're in puberty, which I definitely still am in the middle of my puberty, you're gonna be staring at all the boobies and the titties and everything. And I don't know. Does this make me a tit guy? I don't know if I'm into tits. I don't stare at ass much unless the ass is really prominent. Like if I'm looking at, I don't know, fucking the Kardashians. I'll stare. I'll be looking at the ass because obviously you're gonna be looking at the ass. Look at the fucking ass. But other than that, I don't know. I need to know if this is a normal thing or am I just a super weird guy? Because I don't like it. I don't personally. I think it's weird and I'm insecure about it. I think it's normal. I need confirmation. Help me, please.